Welcome to the Saturday Slam and Jam, brought to you by Amazon Prime. On today's show, we're going to do our good, bad, and what? We're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls. Had a pretty nice win this week. And we are also going to do some trivia. But before we get to all that, Alex, tell me what happened in the NBA this week.
Andrew, the top story this week was a season-changing injury for the Golden State Warriors. In a game against the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler came down awkwardly on his right leg and tore his ACL, which will end his season and effectively end the Warriors' season unless they are able to conjure up some magic at the trade deadline. One potential trade asset for the Warriors, if you haven't heard, is forward Jonathan Kuminga, who demanded a trade from the Warriors this week. Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy responded to the report by saying, quote, "In terms of demands, when you make a demand, there needs to be demand on the market." In other words, if you were hoping the least interesting trade saga in recent memory would be ending soon, you might have to wait a little bit longer, especially after Kuminga left a game against the Mavericks Thursday night with ankle and knee injuries. Now, the good news for Warriors fans is that Jake Fisher reported this week that the Warriors would like to target Giannis Antetokounmpo via trade and LeBron James via free agency, which, I mean, yeah, you should just do that. I don't know why you've been wasting our time with all these Kuminga reports. Feels like you've been burying the lead. Personally, I would do more leaks about how you're going to trade for Giannis and sign LeBron. That sounds way better.
Totally.
Speaking of Giannis and LeBron, All-Star starters were announced this week, and while Giannis was named a starter, LeBron was not for the first time since 2004, 21 years ago. Joining Giannis in the East will be Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, and Jaylen Brown. In the West, we've got Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, and Victor Wembanyama. Now, Anthony Edwards actually tied Wemby for the final spot, but lost the tiebreaker based on the fan vote. And in addition to battling out for that final All-Star starter spot in the West this week, Wemby and Ant also gave us one of the more entertaining finishes this season. The Wolves were down 25 to the Spurs at half, but fought back and tied the game by the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter. This set up an incredible back and forth between Ant and Wemby in clutch time. In the fourth quarter alone, Anthony Edwards had 26 points, including 5 3-pointers, and he would finish the game with a career-high 55. But it would not be enough as Victor Wembanyama scored 10 of his 39 in the final 3 minutes of the game, pushing the Spurs across the finish line 126-123. And this wouldn't be the only thriller the Spurs played this week in a game against the Houston Rockets. The Spurs built a 10-point lead by the end of the third quarter, but the Rockets came roaring back, led by Reed Shepherd, who scored 12 of his 21 points in the fourth quarter. Once again, it was back and forth in the clutch until the Rockets pulled ahead for good on a Jabari Smith Jr. jumper with 1:47 left, and they eventually won 111-106. Now, this was an eventful week for the Rockets, who got massive wins over Western Conference rivals in games against the Spurs and the Wolves, but they also lost starting center Steven Adams to a grade 3 ankle sprain that will keep him out of the lineup for the foreseeable future. The Rockets also experienced a moment of history this week as Kevin Durant passed Dirk Nowitzki for 6th on the list of all-time scorers during a game against the Pelicans. Next up for KD on that list is none other than Michael Jordan, who KD will likely pass by the end of this season, assuming health. Now, the Rockets finished the week as the 4 seed in the West, followed by the Phoenix Suns, who have won 3 in a row, have moved all the way up to the 5 seed. The Lakers have a tentative hold on the 6 seed, while Minnesota has dropped down into the play-in for the time being. But 4 through 7 in the West are all separated by a half game right now. Over in the East, Detroit continued their dominance, winning all 3 other games this week, including a critical 104-103 victory over the 2-seed Boston Celtics. The Pistons have now built a 5.5-game lead on Boston and a 7-game lead on the New York Knicks, who have been in a bit of a freefall as of late. The Knicks had a 2-9 stretch over these last few weeks, which culminated in a disastrous loss to the Dallas Mavericks. The Knicks, who were at full strength, got down by as much as 30 in this game before finally losing 114-97 as boos rained down on the Knicks from the MSG crowd. Jalen Brunson reportedly called a players-only meeting after this game as reports began to emerge of locker room turmoil centered around Karl Anthony Towns. Steve Popper of Newsday Sports reported that after the loss that New York had to Dallas, he reported that they had previously had trade conversations about Cat with multiple teams, including Memphis, Orlando, and Charlotte. Meanwhile, the Knicks did eventually get back on track this week, ending a 4-game skid by beating the Brooklyn Nets 120-66. That's right, 66 points, the fewest points scored by an NBA team since 2016. Excuse me. Now, this is something of a tradition for the Nets, though, because last season in January, they also had a game against the Clippers that ended 126-67. Now, from inefficiency to hyper-efficiency, let's talk about a couple crazy stat lines from guards this week. In a game against the Warriors, Emmanuel Quickley of the Toronto Raptors put up 40 and 10 on 11 of 13 shooting from the field, including 7 of 8 from 3, 11 of 11 from the line. That is 112.1 true shooting percentage, which is crazy. Quickly joined Wilt Chamberlain as the second player in NBA history to put up 40 and 10 while shooting over 80% from the field.
Wow.
That was until Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did the exact same thing in a game against the Bucks later in the week, where he put up 40 and 11 on 16 of 19 from the field. And those were the top stories this week.
Wow. What a week.
It was a week. There's a lot of stuff this week.
There's a lot of stuff.
Sometimes I got to dig. I didn't have to dig very much this week, I would say.
Yeah, this is just insane. You want to move to our good, bad, and what?
Yes, every week we like to share something we liked from the past week, something we didn't like, and something that left us confused in a segment we call Good, Bad, What. So, Andrew, what is your good this week?
I wanted to go over just 3 categories.
I love categories.
Isolation, transition, and spot up, and who have been the best so far.
Okay.
We're like halfway through the season. So I was going to give you like the most frequent, who's like taking the most of all of these, and then who are the most efficient, which is, there's a difference sometimes. Okay, isolation. The most frequent isolator in the league. Any ideas?
I mean, Shai's
second. 26% of his possessions are isolations.
Brunson?
Brunson's up there, but not anywhere close to number 1.
Who is number 1?
It's James Harden
by
a mile.
That makes
sense. I said Shai's number 2 with 26%. James Harden number 1, 42.5% of his possessions are isolations.
Damn.
He's doing it on his
him.
own. Doing it on his own, people. The most efficient ISO scorer, though, in the NBA, no surprise, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 1.22 points per possession. Next, Luka Doncic, 1.17. And then the next player in line, another Laker, Austin Reeves, 1.12. So shout out to these isolation freaks out there. Transition, the most possessions per game. So we're talking volume. Giannis, number 1 with 6. Tyrese Maxey also at 6. Donovan Mitchell almost at 6, 5.9. Jaylen Brown, 5.9. And then Kobe White and LeBron James right behind Jaylen Brown. The most efficient transition players with at least 4 possessions per game. I don't know. I could give you 100 guesses. I don't know if you could guess the number 1 transition player in the league that has.
Yeah, I know. Last
possessions.
year you would say Christian Brown, but Christian Brown's been out this season.
Yep.
So I don't know who it would be.
Franz Wagner, 1.46 points per possession. Number 2, Norman Powell, 1.38 points per possession. Norman. Number 3, you could give me 300 guesses. I don't know if I'd say this guy's name. Kawhi Leonard, 1.31 points per possession in transition. Matas Buzelis, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, 1.30. And then Ant, LeBron, and Giannis are up next at 1.29. So all 3 of those guys you would be in your top 5 guesses, probably Ant, LeBron,
for sure,
Giannis. But the other guy's a little bit surprising. And then the final category, spot up shooting. So the most possessions for spot up shooting, Dylan Brooks, number 1, 6.6 spot up possessions per game. Norman Powell again on the list, 6.5. Jeremy Grant, 6.5 spot up possessions per game. Tyler Hero, 6.2 spot up possessions per game, and OG Anunoby, 6.1 spot ups per game. The most efficient spot up shooters, and this is from the top 50 in spot up shooting. The number one guy this season, and it's sad because the rest of his team is not showing up the way that he has. Jalen Tyson is the most efficient spot up shooter this season. 1.30 points per possession on spot up, which is not totally surprising. He's had a really nice season. I didn't think he'd be the number one guy. Moses Moody right behind him, 1.29. Trey Murphy on very high volume, 1.28. Dikil Alexander-Walker, 1.21. Jeremy Grant, 1.21. Denny Avdia, 1.20. And then I just had to keep going because I saw on this list he's 9th in efficiency. A guy, I could give you 100 guesses, Al. I don't think you'd say his name. Russell Westbrook, 1.17.
Let's go.
In spot-up opportunities. He's top 50 in attempts, and he is also one of the most efficient, the 9th most efficient spot-up shooter in the NBA this season for a putrid Sacramento Kings team. Shout out to Russell Westbrook.
Finally happened. All those years.
We've been waiting.
We've been waiting. This is what, Russ 5.0?
Here we are.
We made
Russ 79.0. Russell Westbrook, finally good spot-up shooter on one of the worst teams in basketball that has like almost no redeeming qualities about it, except for they have their draft pick.
My good this week was Alperen Sengun and just how he approaches playing Victor Wembanyama. Because you hear so much about different guys have to adjust their games when playing Wemby. You know, they see him in the paint, and for very good reason, they decide, hey, maybe I should come up with a different strategy here. But then occasionally you'll get someone like Sengun, who just does not seem to care that Wemby is 7'5". I love the way he started the game this week against the Spurs. He posted up Wemby twice in the first 3 minutes. First, he used his strength to just move Wemby out of the way. Then he bumps Wemby in the paint and took a hilarious fadeaway where he committed. He faded all the way to the ground. But he made it. He made the shot over Wemby's outstretched arms. And what I loved about that play in particular was that Sengun just like isn't worried about failing. Like he's not worried about looking goofy on a play. He's going to try stuff, and he isn't going to let Wemby's presence fundamentally change how he wants to play. He's still going to be a back-to-the-basket scorer and facilitator, and as a result, he's had really good success against Wemby. In their 8 matchups so far, per StatMuse, he's averaging 21, 10, and 5, which is basically his normal stat line. And while Houston would typically have one of their big wings on Wemby, there were some possessions where Sengun did get matched up with Wemby defensively, and he generally did a really good job of bothering his shot. So salute to Alperen Sengun. You are my good this week. He is not scared of Wemby, and he just always seems to play well. And I really do think it's just like he's not scared. He's just going to play his game, and he's not worried about failing.
Yeah, and he's in some guys' heads too. I don't know if you saw. There's an Embiid post where I guess Furkan Korkmaz at one point said that he always thought that Embiid was the best big in the league, but it's actually Alperen Sengun. And there's a photo that Embiid posted on Instagram where it's him, where Alpie's on the ground, and the Sixers just beat the Rockets this week. And Embiid is like standing over Alpie, and his caption is "Furk."
Now, where did this Furk quote come from?
I don't know. I haven't done like the complete deep dive.
What
on
is
this.
The podcast that's inviting Furkan Korkmaz off?
I don't know, but I love it. I Furkin love it.
Okay, all right, cool. I love the idea that like a Furkan Korkmaz quote is setting off some content for us, a content cycle.
It's too good. It's too good.
Okay, Andrew, what is your bad this week?
I got to talk about the Orlando Magic, specifically the Orlando Magic without Jalen Suggs, and even more specifically, point guard lineups that involve Paolo Banchero. So the 2-man group of Paolo and Jalen Suggs in 221 minutes, which is only in 15 games, is a plus 14.8. That's great. That's quite good. That's very good. What about breakout star Anthony Black and Paolo? Should be good too, huh? Nope. Minus 3.1, an almost 18-point difference per 100 possessions
Wow.
with those two as a pairing. What about steady point guard Tyus Jones and Paolo? Minus 14.8, literally the exact opposite of Jalen Suggs. He is bizarro Suggs. He says goodbye when he arrives at the arena and hello whenever he leaves. It's very, very weird. It's minus 14.8 and plus 14.8. It's very strange. And then Paolo and Bane as a pairing, if you're like, oh, what about Bane as the point guard? Minus 0.9. All that to say, we have so much evidence that Jalen Suggs is outrageously important to the Orlando Magic. He's currently listed as day-to-day, and it's like, just come back, please. Since he was out in early January, the Magic have a -5 net rating. They're 26th in defense, 18th in offense. And according to Cleaning the Glass, with Suggs on the court, the Magic are a plus 16.5. So Jalen Suggs has like this outsized importance to the Orlando Magic. It was that way last year. It's been that way this year. They just need this guy to stay on the court and be healthy, because like all the other options that they're finding are not working and are like part of this story of Paolo not being good for whatever reason. Like he is not gelled with these other point guards, and it really works whenever Jalen Suggs is there. So get well soon, Jalen Suggs, for the sake of all Magic fans.
Yeah, I remember once I did like the Steven Adams All-Stars, which were like players that were not the top 2 players on their team, but were hugely important. And Jalen Suggs would definitely qualify that.
Yeah.
It might have to change the name. It might be the Jalen Suggs All-Stars.
It might be. He's been ridiculous. Yeah.
My bad this week is just this bizarre season the Lakers are currently giving us. They had a typically mediocre Lakers week again. They went 2-2. They got wins over Toronto and Denver, lost to the Clippers and Portland. They've been mediocre for a while now. They've gone 11-13 since December 1st, which is worse than teams like the Bulls, worse than teams like the Mavericks over that same span. But because of their early season success, they're still over a 60% winning percentage, which makes their minus 0.3 net rating not just a weird fact to share over and over again on NBA Reddit, it's also an historical anomaly. So I looked up seasons in NBA history where a team won 60% of its games but had a negative net rating. Other than this year's Lakers team, there's only one other example, and you have to go back 70 years. The 1953-54 New York Knicks.
70.
Finished the season 44-28. Hey, first in their division, but had a minus 0.1 net rating. Now, this was a fun team, Andrew. You of course, had Hall of Famer Harry Gallatin, a.k.a. the Horse, a.k.a. Farmer. You had Hall of Famer Carl Braun, a.k.a. Junior, a.k.a. Babyface. You had the brothers McGuire, Dick and Al. And, of course, you had Ernie Vandeweghe, who's father of Kiki Vandeweghe.
Oh,
now,
nice.
I know what you're thinking. That's a squad. But wait, there's more. How about Hall of Famer Nat Clifton, a.k.a. Sweetwater, a.k.a. Sweets? And now you're saying, well, Alex, there's no way Vince Barilla, a.k.a. Vinegar Vince, was on this team. Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, Vinegar Vince was on this team. Anyways, the Lakers stink. And they're probably not going to be on this list with that great 54 Knicks team, because by the end of the season, like, you still have to win 60% of your games. It's hard to see that happening from here till the end of the season with the Lakers, except potentially when they get Austin Reeves back. Maybe something will happen at the trade deadline. I mentioned that December 1st date as a turning point in their season. Since that date, per Cleaning the Glass, Lakers have the 17th ranked offense and 28th ranked defense. Their defense for 2 months now has only been better than the Washington Wizards and the Utah Jazz.
Wow.
And in particular, the rim protection has been virtually non-existent over that span, with Lakers opponents shooting 72% at the rim. Only team that's worse during that span was Utah. That is not good.
Wow.
In fact, that's bad. So the Lakers, they are my bad for being an historical curiosity for the time being.
so bizarre.
That could have been my what, honestly. Andrew, what is your what?
Have you been following this Charles Bediako story at all?
No.
Have you ever heard that name before?
I had not heard that name before.
Okay, so Charles Bediako, he's a center that played for Alabama for 2 years. He was there when Brandon Miller was there, so it's been 3 years since he's been there. He has since been signed to a 2-way deal, and he signed 2 E10 deals. So he's made some money, playing in the league. He's most recently on the Motor City Cruise, played for the Motor City Cruise a few days ago. He's trying to be the first player to enter the draft. So he entered the draft after 2 seasons. He was a fine college player, but not a draft prospect. Entered the draft anyways, stayed in the draft, past the date where you can come back up and not sign with an agent, come back to the NCAA, all of that. Stayed in anyways, signed the 2-way deal, like I said, signed 2 E10s. He's trying to be the first college player to go back to college after staying in the draft and signing this 2-way deal.
To play basketball, I'm assuming he's allowed to go back to college, right?
He's enrolled at Alabama, but he's wanting to play, and he's been granted the ability to play for Alabama this weekend. Okay, and it will go back before a judge next week to determine whether he can keep his eligibility for the rest of the year, because he still has the rest of this season as a part of his eligibility. It's something to watch, because this has not happened. This has happened in a couple other instances, but it's been with players that have been overseas. It's been with players that have come right out of high school to the G League. But it's never happened with a player that's played college basketball, entered the draft. And so now the NCAA, which has been just kind of a mess anyways, is now in this weird kind of limbo with Charles Bediako, trying to figure out what to do with him. Which it all is strange to me, because he knew he was losing his eligibility when he entered the draft, when he signed his 2-way deal. He knew what he was doing. And now his lawyer is saying, basically, because he couldn't see the future of NIL, he deserves to come back. And so now it's all been really messy and really murky, all of these rules. But now this one is certainly strange, to where it has me asking the question, does the NCAA need to just completely dissolve and then just become should this just be another professional league? Should this be treated like Europe, where you can kind of bounce back and forth like players do between the NBA and Europe? There's no problem. And Bediako could be the first guy to push that as a thing. So really, the way that we look at college and the NBA draft could completely change because of this guy. And so it's something to monitor. It's something to watch. And it is super weird. The rules that we have in place should not permit this. He made the mistake. He shouldn't have gone. If he would have just stayed at Alabama, he'd probably get a nice NIL deal, and then he could probably go play for the Motor City Cruise anyways if he wanted to. But because he made the mistake of declaring and staying in, he shouldn't be able to do that. But he's trying to at this point. He's been granted this 7 days to play for them, and then they'll go back to the drawing board, try to figure out if it's okay. It is a mess. So just if you're a draft nerd, or if you're somebody that cares about the way that the NCAA and the NBA interact, you should be watching what happens with Charles Bediako over the next week.
And I guess is the difference between him and James Nagy just that James Nagy never played
college basketball.
He never played college basketball.
Yeah. And Bediako did not ever play an NBA minute. So he signed the E10, he signed the 2-way. He never played an NBA minute. But there's never it's different in that the college basketball aspect of it.
Yeah.
So
what if you were a lottery pick, right? And it's March, it's tank season. You're good. Your team doesn't actually want you out there because you're going to hurt the draft pick. Hey, could you go help your school for a little March Madness run? Could we do that next?
See, that'd
be fun.
Yeah. Now we are entering that's even more outrageous.
Just loan him back to his former college team.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's more about if you're a prospect that really doesn't have that much of a chance to go in the draft, you should just declare anyways. You could become an NBA free agent. Maybe something happens where you can catch on, and if you don't, you'll just go back to college anyways. What does it matter? So there's just the NCAA needs to figure out what they want to do with players like this. and just like make a very clear ruling on where this is headed, because I do think that it's messy. It's really messy. And Bediako to me is a weird case. Like to me, he should not be playing for Alabama. If he wants to go back to school, totally fine. A lot of players have done that. Heck, Shaq got his PhD.
Heck,
you can do it. But this to me, like, it seems pretty clear to me that he should not be able to play, although I think he is playing tomorrow. But yeah, very bizarre. Very bizarre.
And I think that's awesome, and they should let him play. That sounds very fun. I want more examples of this. My what this week is the team that has the best winning percentage in the league in the month of January. Now, if you had asked me to guess who that team was, I might have guessed the Clippers. They've been playing great. I might have guessed the Thunder, maybe the Pistons. But no, it's none of those teams. The team with the best record in January through Friday, January 23rd, Portland Trailblazers, who are currently 9-2 in the month of January.
Wow.
Shout out to my friend Blake, who sends me Blazers stats after their games. And that was one of those where I knew the Blazers had been good, but I hadn't realized how good it's been.
Yeah.
They're playing their best basketball of the season, and they have several good things happening at once, in addition to the normal all-star level of play we're getting from Denny Avdia. So first, they're finally getting some guys back after long absences. Jeremy Grant's been back for a few games now after a month-long absence. Drew Holiday, he's played in 5 of the last 6 after missing nearly 2 months. On the court, Shaedon Sharpe is having one of the best shooting stretches in his career. He's shooting 43% from 3 on 6 attempts per game over his last 22 games. That's only the second time in his career he's had a 20-game stretch where he's shot over 40% from 3. And that's big news because it's always felt like that's the part of his game that needs to pan out. He's up to 24, 5, and 4 over his last 9 games. Donovan Clingan, he's been finding some more consistency over this stretch, especially on the boards. He's already had 4 games with 15-plus rebounds in January. What about Robert Williams, Time Lord? Did you know? Okay, obviously they're sitting him on back-to-back, so he doesn't play one leg of the back-to-back.
Yeah.
But other than that, he has played in every game since December 14th.
Wow.
We're beyond a month at this point.
Wow.
And finally, I want to bring up Caleb Love, who came into this season as an undrafted two-way player.
Yep.
As the Portland guard situation started to reach crisis levels early in the season, Scoot went out and then Drew went out.
Mm-hmm.
Love was forced into a much bigger role than I think Portland ever anticipated. And it hasn't always been pretty, as you would expect from an undrafted rookie. If you go look at his season stats, he's shooting under 40% from the field on the season. But he's really started to find himself over this recent stretch. And he was one of the reasons Portland kept their heads above water while Drew and Jeremy were out for so long. He has given this Blazers team a much-needed scoring boost off the bench. He scored in double digits in 15 of his last 16 games, shooting 44% from the field and 39% from 3 over that stretch, while taking over 8 threes per game. Like he's been incredible as a shooter for them.
That's wild.
He's become a very useful player for Portland and someone who's probably going to continue to have a role in this rotation even as the guard rotation starts to fill back up. Mm-hmm. Bigger picture, the Blazers feel like a lock for the play-in. And now with Jimmy Butler's injury, the 8th seed seems like a very possible goal with Portland only a game and a half back. And for someone living in Portland, the idea of playoff games down the street against Wemby or Jokic or maybe even the Thunder.
Wouldn't that be great? Oh, give me a Thunder series.
That would be an incredible step for this young Blazers team to take next.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about the Blazers right now. It feels like they found their footing without these guys in the lineup, and now you're inserting those guys back in, and it just makes this team so much deeper and so much competent over this final stretch of the season.
Wow. I know you don't read 5-star reviews. You didn't read one this past week, did you?
That's correct. Never.
I'm going to read one right now. I usually read these at the very end of the show, but I'm going to read this one right now. Slam and Jam is the best is the title with many exclamation points from Milo Sears. 5 stars. I'm 13 years old, and this is one of my absolute favorite podcasts. Every time I hear that opening music, I zone out of my busy family and zone in on basketball. Also, every time y'all bring up the Blazers, which is not often, you talk about them for 2 minutes and move on. All I'm saying is more Blazers. Keep up the awesome content.
Wow.
This is for you, Milo.
There you go.
That segment is for you. So shout out to the Blazers. Hopefully we get more Blazers content moving forward. So
Dude, that's so cool. Just thinking what we were like at 13.
Yeah.
And
I know.
And just knowing that a 13-year-old is listening to us and like sharing us with his friends, like that's very cool that we have middle schoolers listening to the pod, because we want it to be a family friendly pod.
Absolutely, we want everybody to be able to listen to it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Love that. Shout out Milo. Yeah, that's amazing. You know what else is amazing? The Bulls, at least in their last game, were amazing, and we're going to talk about them. With Joel Lorenzi right after this quick break.
All right, Andrew, it is time once again for the Wheel of Fandom, the weekly segment where we spin a wheel, it lands on a team, and we become fans of that team for the next week. Last week, the wheel landed on the Chicago Bulls, who lost their first game of the week, a 3-point loss to the Nets, but then rattled off 3 in a row. They got their revenge on Brooklyn. They destroyed the Clippers in a game where the Bulls tied a franchise record for most three-pointers with 25. Then they got one of their best wins of the season, a road win in the clutch over the Timberwolves in Josh Giddey's return to the lineup. The 3-game winning streak brings the Bulls back to 500, which means the Bulls are back. Wow. Honestly, though, after I swore off talking about this team on this podcast, after a 3-13 stretch in November and early December, they've been pretty good. Since December 12th, the Bulls are 13-8, which is the 8th best winning percentage over that span. Per Cleaning the Glass, the 22-22 Bulls have the 16th ranked offense and 20th ranked defense. Andrew, if the Bulls are a favorite team, who is our guest?
It's my guy, Joel Lorenzi of The Athletic. Joel, welcome to the pod.
What's up, man? I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here. It's been a weird Bulls season, and let's break it down a little bit. So when Josh Giddey got injured, many assumed the Bulls would take another nosedive like they did in November. Instead, they went 6-5 over that stretch. How did the Bulls manage to thrive without Giddey?
Yeah, this might be a little lazy because it involves some intangibles, but like I think you cannot underrate how much Billy Donovan like just cares to win these December and January games, no matter what's at his disposal. I mean, he talks about Trey Jones like he's Captain America. Like he literally said at the end of December, like Trey Jones is the model Chicago Bulls player. And so like when these are the things at his disposal, you're gonna come out with some wins you probably should not have. And their system works to where you're probably gonna steal some wins from teams. You're always gonna be in clutch games. Like that's just the nature of their team, even when Josh Giddey is in the lineup, as you saw last night. But they give themselves a chance with the system on their best nights. They have usually 6 to 7 guys in double figures. They reach into their bench. They have so many fringe starters that it just all kind of bleeds together. And for what it's worth, like to give them credit, Trey Jones to me has been one of the best value contracts across the league. I mean, the guy's making $8 million this year, and he's been a lot of nights like their best guard and their most efficient. He's a pure point, as we like to say among athletic viewers. And then Jalen Smith, like who previously was like looking for a spot in the league to even stick after being a lottery guy. Like he has some real sticking power here. He's a double machine. He's efficient. He spaces the floor for them, which is what they need. Like these kind of guys, these revival stories are how they've grouped together some surprising wins. Is it sustainable? Probably not. But will it get you to 500? Absolutely, and that's what they do.
So I mentioned the date December 12th earlier, which ended up being somewhat of a turning point for the Bulls. You wrote an article on that day about Matas Buzelis and the approach Billy Donovan was taking with his development. Now we're a month and a half away from that article. I was interested in your thoughts on how he's developed since that point and just kind of your overall thoughts on the approach the team has been taking with his development.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the keys were kind of handed to him, at least you would think, in the sense of usage as soon as, Kobe White and Gideon went down in the same game. And I thought there was a 6, 7, 8 game stretch there. Man, I did not just mean to do 6, 7 right there. But I thought there was a stretch
twice,
right
by the way.
Jesus Christ. I thought there was a stretch there where like you could clearly see and Billy will play up how much on ball usage he's had in the past. But like you can see there that there were clearly more reps of getting him downhill, getting him in comfortable spots where he can be the kind of player that shows the flashes people are excited about. He was scoring at the rim at will. Obviously, he's a great transition scorer. That's never been a problem. He doesn't have a mid-range diet infamously. He tells this story, and it's in that story actually that you referenced about how they had this film session, and Billy was like, "Hey, throw that out," when he shot a midi his rookie year. There were some middies mixed in, a sparse amount of middies, but middies mixed in. Like, you're just seeing him get more comfortable, I think, um, with the sort of tug of war he's having with Billy Donovan, and for what it's worth, like Modest of all the people in Chicago who are like, give this dude the reps, just throw the minutes at him. Modest has been like most fine with that, and hasn't really budged on the whole, tug of war with Billy. He's actually been fairly understanding of it, which is I don't want to call it. I think it's surprising from the outside. With that being said, like Billy's still very much on that side of things. Modest didn't close last night in Minnesota, and he very much had a fine to above average game. Like he definitely could have closed. I think when I wrote that story, there were times where he was yanking Modest a minute or two into the game, or after a quick sequence that he didn't like. Like there's clearly some. I don't want to call it punishment, but there's a real short leash here historically. Has it loosened? Sure. Is it still there? Absolutely.
So another player that's been thriving recently is Ayo Dosunmu. He's really stepped up. He'll be
Yeah.
an unrestricted free agent this summer. What have you thought about his leap this season, and what are like some realistic contract numbers for him, or is there
hmm
even a chance he gets traded? Because I know there are a lot of teams interested in him.
Yeah. Good player. First and foremost, shooting a career best, I think 46% from three, at least going into yesterday's game. I don't know that that'll be sustainable. Obviously, that's such a crazy number. But I think he's developed into a real respectable shooter, which is noteworthy. He does good things. The shooting leap actually has not altered how much he gets downhill and how successful he is downhill, which is important. You don't want that to be at the expense of that. And he's one of like this Bulls team came into the season like, oh yeah, we're gonna build a defensive identity. That's our next step. And they don't even remotely resemble most nights like a respectable NBA defense. With that being said, Io is one of the few POA guys who like, okay, like he gives guys some troubles. He holds his own. So he's like on a team like I get why the trade rumors exist because he's like a ceiling raiser on a team that like you're not worried about their ceiling right now. You're trying to raise their floor. You're trying to make them something
Mhm.
even watchable. Kind of same with Kobe White, who's been even more frequently in trade rumors because he's probably the idea of him is as a ceiling raiser. Um, but yeah, Io's been a good player. I think it makes more sense to keep him just because the money would be more reasonable than Kobe would, and he just has a more like portable game. Like no matter the way you want to build his team, like he's gonna probably make sense with any iteration just with the two-way play. As far as numbers, I'm like the last guy to ask about like the market and stuff like that, numbers wise. But like, I mean, how does like 18 to 20 million sound? That doesn't sound crazy, right? Like the
That's not
the the guy,
unreasonable.
right? Like the guys who are revered as like all league defenders, like a Dyson Daniels. I think it's fair for us to say like Casey Wallace is gonna get like closer to 25 million, right? Like if the Bulls can get
Yeah,
Io on
potentially.
20 million, like I think that's a team friendly deal.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how much interest there is in him because it's just so hard now. Like after Atlanta signed Nikhil to that deal where he's making like 15 a year, you're like,
Yeah.
man, you would just
Yeah, it's
love to
tough.
have Nikhil on 15 a
Yeah,
year.
of course.
Um, okay, so trade deadline coming up. We've heard a variety of reports. Sometimes we're hearing they're ready to blow it up. Other times we're hearing that they want to trade for Zion. So, what are your expectations for how the Bulls are going to approach this deadline? Like, do you believe they have a plan in place for what they want to do? Because some of the reports seem like polar opposites.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm confident in is that, like discussions have been had from what I understand about Kobe White. Like that's like a necessity. Like at the very least, they're gonna go to the table and talk to teams. From what I've heard recently is that it's gonna be tough at this moment for them to get like the kind of assets or return they want with Kobe, which has been their problem historically, like not recouping what they need for assets or taking too long to move an
Yeah.
asset. Like uh, if you want a first, like a good first for Kobe White, like is the market there right now? And for what it's worth, I think people are waiting on that first domino of this trade deadline to fall to understand how they're gonna react and how they're gonna move. Um, but I know the discussions have been had on Kobe. I expect them to probably move at least a couple guys, but not for the sake of like I don't think it will resemble like a rebuild. I mean, AK hates that word, which is funny because
Hmm.
Sam Presti only hated the word tank. I don't think Sam Presti ever avoided the word rebuild. AK hates the
No.
word rebuild. Like he despises that. And so like there's just a competitive baseline in the building to where up to this point, I mean, I think crazy enough, I think I saw this last night. Through the last 5 years, I think they're perfectly at 500 now, let alone this season where they're 22-22. There's just a certain competitive fiber in the building that will not allow them to reach for a tank or rebuild. But I think there have been eyes, I think, opening up to what this is and the direction it's trending and um what's realistic, man. And but that being said, like Billy Donovan, he kind of makes me feel like it's like Moneyball, right? Where Brad Pitt had to like trade assets from underneath the manager to like keep him
Hmm.
from trying to win games. Like Billy Donovan is that manager, bro. Like he is trying to
Yeah.
make Trey Jones and Kevin Herter like the guys who are gonna win them games. And it's just been crazy to unfold. I I imagine that ideal is not the competitiveness is not shared to that degree. I mean, at a certain point, I think AK and his front office has to probably save their jobs and break from this middling curse. Um, that being said, I don't expect the deadline to resemble like them pivoting to a rebuild. Like I think they're gonna do what makes sense with all these expiring contracts and get the return they can get. Um, but I don't expect it to resemble a rebuild at all. And Zion, I mean, of the guys who are like on that list of like, I mean, the AD stuff is a foregone conclusion, I would think by now. Well, I don't know, but of the AD, the John Morant, the Zion, the guys who you're like scared to kind of
Yeah.
deal with, Zion is probably the most realistic, just because he seems most like the most tantalizing player of that bunch to them, and probably it's probably the most realistic deal, and then the other 2 guys are like John Morant, I don't think they would touch John Morant, but, like, John Morant is a guy who's saying now he wants to stay in Memphis. I don't know if you take that at face value, and then the AD stuff, I don't even wanna talk about the AD stuff, Andrew and Al, I just don't.
It would feel a little ballsy, though. You know.
Sure it would, and I think I don't wanna speak for the Bulls front office here, but I think there is a sense that, like, people just think they don't know how to do business, and I think, I think they feel the I don't know if urgency is the right word. I think they feel the need to like use this deadline to clear that up. Like I don't think that
Hmm.
that means a complete rebuild again because that would be the best thing for their reputation to me. But they also
Yeah.
have to do what's in line with ownership, right? And ownership historically, I was talking to Bobby Porter this weekend, or Bobby Porter, excuse me, in Milwaukee, um, asking him why Chicago historically has not been a destination for guys, which free agency is different than it was. And he
Hmm.
was like, like they gotta open that checkbook. Like that is historically, they are worried about the product and selling. And the product is at a point where it is I mean, there was a report last week, and we can go down this whole rabbit hole. It can be its own episode. There was a report last week of the top 10 selling teams, merchandise. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls were not in that, which is
Mm.
like what's been their brand. I mean, they've cashed in on the ball guy for 30 years after he's played. Like that's been
Yep.
the brand. So I think there's a sense now in the city and maybe even around the building that that's just not gonna cut it anymore. Does that mean they're gonna be as strong-handed as saying let's rebuild? No. But I think they did go into the season saying they were gonna put less emphasis on a playoff berth and more emphasis on development. And Billy Donovan right now, I mean, he's benching the guy you want to develop at the end of games.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on here. I can just say they're not gonna rebuild, at least not right now. But they are gonna try to do something with all these expirings and make something happen, make something respectable happen.
Yeah. So if the books hold like they are now, in some way, they will have a lot of cap space. Let's say that there's just not a deal that they like. Is there anybody that you could see them going after in free agency this summer if they do have a lot of cap space?
No, I don't know about a perfect free agent fit for them. The issue for them is that like it's good for them that Josh Giddey is proving to be worth the deal they got him on.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a good
and
value deal for Josh. Yeah.
yes, but the issue I'd say is that the system almost lends itself to him, which is maybe what you sign up for when you build around him. But I don't think like the vision for this team, or at least what it should be, he's probably like the third best player in that vision. Um,
Yeah.
so where do you even start to get the kind of guys that you can surround him with that you can say, hey, this guy's better than Josh Giddey. He brings that offensive punch. He brings this. He brings that. He raises our floor. He gets us to a real playoff berth and not this flimsy playing stuff that they've been bound to. Um, you get those guys in most cases probably through the draft. Um, and it's just something like they're not headed toward again. We can go in circles about their rebuilding stance and whatever. Like that's with this draft, that's the best way to get a guy like that. But it just hasn't been their priority. So I I think I'm not sure there's anybody realistic in free agency that can change the narrative about them. So I haven't even thought of linking them to anybody, frankly. Which
Yeah, the only
sounds really
name that
depressing. Sorry.
the name that to me seems like maybe feasible is Peyton Watson, just because Denver's going to
Yeah,
be up
sure.
against the second apron. Like
Yep.
maybe you could overpay. They definitely need like a big wing like that. And
Yeah.
if you think that there's more there, which he has started to show over this recent stretch, I like that idea. And like maybe if you overpaid him, it would actually work out. But he is a restricted free agent, so Denver would still be able to match if they wanted to.
Right.
Um,
And well, on that Peyton Watson front, because I think it is interesting. I think they end the perfect Bulls thing would be to overpay him.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and I think he's a good player. Like obviously, like
Yeah.
he showed some stuff in that recent stretch. He is the mold of player I think they probably need. He also conflicts some things with Modest, which I don't even think they figured out what position they want Modest to be in the
Mm.
end. It's conflicting stuff, but it is like the kind of bet they'd make in terms of like building an internal star and like overpaying for that guy if they were to go get him. So
And all this would be easier to talk about if Patrick Williams wasn't making $18 million a year for the next 3 years. Okay, well, Joel, thanks for answering all of our Bulls-related questions. It is now time to play Andrew versus the Beat. Now, I've come up with 8 questions all about the Chicago Bulls. You're going to give me a number between 1 and 8. It'll correspond to a question. If you get it right, you'll get at least 2 points. If you get it wrong, Andrew will have a chance to steal for 1, and we'll go back and forth till all the questions have been asked and answered. So, Joel, to start us off, just give me a number between 1 and 8. Joel, I'm sorry.
number 1 through 8, 6.
6. Thank you, Joel. Number 6, the Bulls are one of 4 NBA teams without a 20-point-per-game scorer. Can you name the other 3? Now, you get a chance for 3 points here.
Oh, jeez.
1 point per correct answer. So there's 3 other teams other than the Bulls who do not have a 20-point per game scorer.
Yeah.
Who are those teams?
By the way, I prefaced this pod by saying I was gonna get slaughtered in trivia, and I was gonna answer Michael Jordan for every question. You're veering off the path here. This is interesting.
I would not answer Michael Jordan for this question. That would be a tough look.
The other 3 teams. How many do I have guesses here? Like how are we doing this?
You have a guess, and then it's either right or wrong. You get one guess, and then if you get it right, you get to keep going.
Without a 20-point per game scorer, is Charlotte one of those teams?
Charlotte. It's a great guess, but guess what? Brandon Miller is averaging exactly 20.0 points per game.
Wow.
I even had to check last night to make sure that he kept his average up, and he scored exactly 20 last night. So that is very unfortunate, Joel. But Andrew, you have a chance to steal 3 points.
Oh, wow. What about the Kings?
Sacramento Kings. That is correct.
That was such
an
easy. Oh my gosh, the Kings are lodged in such a forgettable place in my mind. I didn't even think to say them, man. Jesus, bro.
Shout out to Dosunmu.
I just threw you a lob, dude. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't know that I have other answers to this question, though. What about the Wiz?
The Washington Wizards. Another correct answer. Andrew, can you get the final name?
Oh, boy. I have one more thought. What about Memphis?
Andrew, that is correct.
I'm getting worked. This is good.
Andrew got all 3 points. I'm sorry, Joel. That was a rough start to your first appearance on Andrew
I'd say
versus
so. Give me
Andrew,
a Michael Jordan question.
It's coming up.
Number 1.
All right, question number 1. The Bulls' offense is mediocre once again. Currently ranked, I put XX because that means I need to go back and look it up, but I didn't. I think it's 16th on cleaning the glass. The last time the Bulls had a top 10 offense was the 2011-2012 season. Who led the 2011-12 Bulls in total points scored?
Oh, my word. What about Luol Deng?
Luol Deng, that is incorrect. All right,
Really?
Joel, you have a chance to steal a point. 2011-2012 Bulls, who led them in total points scored that season?
I mean, like Andrew went the direction I went because, damn.
11-12. This is the lockout year too, so it's like
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
just a
is
weird
it
year.
is it just the low hanging fruit I think it is?
I don't know. Are you going
Like-
to say Michael Jordan?
No, I'm gonna say Derrick Rose.
It was Carlos Boozer.
I was gonna say Boozer, but he feels like a 15-point per game
Oh,
scorer.
shout out
dude.
to
That's
Carlos
horrible.
Boozer.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
Rose only played 39 games, and I think it
Right,
was a 66-game season, so I think that's why.
That's why I
ended
didn't
up
want to
being
go
Boozer.
him. But Carlos Boozer, what did he average per game that year? Maybe like 15 points.
Let's see. Carlos Boozer in the 2011. Oh, they also had Omer Ashik. Why didn't you guys guess Omer Ashik?
Come on.
Boozer averaged exactly 15 points per game.
Wow.
He just played in every game.
Like,
he just
come on,
played.
dude. That's ridiculous.
All right, hey.
Joel just wrote a piece about Derrick Rose, by the way, that is up on The Athletic right now.
Go read that.
So
There you go.
Yeah.
Joel, here's the good news. You have control of the board.
Oh, I'm glad. Let's go 8.
Question number 8. Okay. Of the Bulls' 25 most played two-man lineups, this two-man lineup is the best with a plus 6.2 net rating. Which 2 Bulls are in that lineup? Now, you get 1 point per correct answer. So make your first guess your strongest
Mm-hmm.
So best two-man lineup for the Bulls. And it has to be a most played lineup. So 25 most played.
I'm gonna say Josh Giddey and Ayo Dosunmu.
That is incorrect. Andrew.
What about Kobe White and Jalen Smith?
Both of you got one of them correct, but you both said them the second name, so that's why you don't get any points. The correct answer was Jalen Smith and Ayo Dosunmu.
No.
You guys were on the right track. Okay, Andrew, board is yours.
Number 2.
Question number 2. Josh Giddey already has 14 triple-doubles as a Chicago Bull. That's the third highest total in Bulls franchise history, behind only Scottie Pippen and
Michael Jordan.
There we go. Okay, that wasn't the question, though. Since MJ retired as a Bull, there have been 13 Chicago Bulls to record a triple-double, including Giddey. We're going to name the other 12. So this is since MJ retired as a Bull, the other 12 Chicago Bulls who have recorded at least one triple-double, and I will tell you, half of this list only recorded one triple-double.
Oh,
so
my
how this will work, Andrew, you'll give me a name, then Joel will give me a name, and we'll go back and forth until one of you stumbles.
This is, okay, we're doing, this is 12 names, right? Okay. Since Michael Jordan?
Since Michael Jordan to record a triple-double, and Andrew will start us off.
Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah is on the list. Joel.
Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose did it once. Ooh.
Oh.
Andrew.
I got some sicko answers here.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler on the list. Joel.
Good guess, Andrew. I'm gonna reach for a sicko one already. Actually, no, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's not good strategy. Can I say is Jay Williams on that list?
Whew. Jay Williams is on that list. Nice poll. Andrew.
What about Kirk Heinrich?
Captain Kirk, he's on the list. Back to Joel.
I have to go more obvious here. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna go a little sicker though. Brad Miller.
Brad Miller has had triple doubles in his career, but not as a member of the Chicago Bulls.
Oh no!
I'm pretty sure he has. No. I'm sure he did with the Kings.
I'm sure he has.
I would have to imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The other names: Vucci Main, Pau Gasol,
Pau. Yeah, I was going to say Pau.
Jalen Rose, Chris Duhon, Rajon Rondo, Lonzo Ball, and Ayo Dosunmu. This season,
I covered 2 of those guys. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay, so it is Joel's turn.
Let's go 3.
Question number 3. When this player is on the court, the Bulls score 8.7 more points per 100 possessions than when he is off the court, which is the biggest offensive on-off swing on the team. So who is that player? So when this guy's on the court, the Bulls' offense is cooking.
Yeah, I think we referenced him earlier. Shot in the dark hair. Can I say Jalen Smith?
Joel? That is correct for 2 points. Nice. Andrew.
4.
Question number 4. Matas Buzelis is averaging 1.4 blocks per game this season, despite being listed at 6'8" on Basketball Reference. This season, there are only 4. Is it 4? Yeah. There are only 4 other players listed at 6'8" or shorter who are averaging at least that many blocks per game. Can you name 2? You get 1 point per correct answer. So
Derek White.
Yes. That was the easy one.
Yeah.
So 6'8" or under.
6'8" or under.
1.4 blocks per game, at least.
That's a lot of blocks. Shoot. Yeah, Derek White is the easy one. Golly. I don't know. I don't think he's averaging that many blocks, though. Dang. I don't want to make that guess.
Make that guess.
Shoot. I don't think that's. I'm pretty sure it's not correct.
Okay. You have any other guesses?
I don't know. I was gonna say Draymond, but I don't think that's right. I don't think he's even averaging a block.
Is that your guess?
That's a guess.
Sure.
That counts as a guess, Al.
I can't.
All right.
I can't think of anybody else.
That was wrong. Draymond, who is not a dirty player, according to Draymond, is not averaging 1.4 blocks per game.
According to other players, according to Draymond, and according to other players. Not a dirty player.
Joel, you could steal a point here.
Unreal.
You have any names floating around your
I
head?
could steal a point. I was kind of watching Andrew struggle there instead of thinking of, you know,
You're just enjoying the struggle.
I was thinking of guards the whole time because you said
Alex is enjoying the struggle too. Yeah.
Can we at least rule out that this is not a guard, this player?
I can't. You can for yourself if that would help you.
Yeah, it might. It's just so under 6'8" is just the rule.
Yeah, 6'8" or shorter. So they can be 6'8". They can still be pretty tall.
Yeah. Damn. He doesn't average probably 1.4. No, I can't guess another guard because only one guard makes sense there. I'm gonna wave the towel here.
Wave the towel. Okay, so what was tricky about this is you basically just had to know that these guys who sound tall are actually only 6'8", and they are Isaiah Stewart, beef stew.
Oh,
dude, wait! Oh my gosh, wait! So we could have went 6'8" too. I thought we were going 7 and shorter than that.
No. Isaiah Beef Stewart,
Keegan Murray, he's been out a lot.
Oh,
and
weird.
then PJ Washington, which I kind of forgot he's 6'8". But
PJ Washington is averaging that many blocks?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, Joel, 2 questions remain, 4 or 7.
Let's go 7. Damn, Andrew's whooping me. Jesus.
Well, hey, good news. This question you could get 3 points.
Ooh.
3 points.
Good show.
3 players have had a 30-point game for the Bulls this season. Name all 3.
A 30-point game? Okay, Josh Giddey.
Correct.
This is a trick question. I know one of them is not. Vooch, obviously.
Vooch, that's correct.
Vooch.
Can you get the final one?
Trey Jones.
Oh! And Joel's gotten all 3 points, which means the score is 6-5 going into the final question. So
let's go. Cooking you.
If Andrew gets this right, he'll win the week, of course. If Joel gets it right, he will tie the game, sending it into overtime. Unless he gets the bonus point, because here's the question. How many dunks does Kevin Huerter have this season? Now, Andrew, you get to choose who answers first. You can set the line, and Joel will go over under.
Oh, no.
Or you can make Joel guess, and then you will go over under. However, if you make Joel guess and he gets it exactly correct, he would get a bonus point.
This is the worst kind of question.
No, best.
Do you believe in Kevin Huerter as a leaper? Yes or no?
I mean, no, I don't. I do not at all. I'm going to make Joel answer the question.
Okay. So, Joel, you get to set the over-under.
Which is a risk. It's a risk. It's the only way he can win right now.
It's the only way you can win if you get this exactly correct.
Okay, the line is 5.5.
Well, it has to be a whole number because it would definitely not be 5.5. So guess a whole number.
But we're going over under, right?
I know. But if you get it exactly correct, you'll get a bonus point. I mean, I guess you could say 5.5.
Yeah, he's allowing you the chance to get the bonus point.
So you want me to guess an exact number here?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go 4.
Okay, Andrew. Now, Joel, before Andrew answers, you originally said 5.5, and then you went down all the way to 4.
I
Why
left
did you not go
myself
just
some
down to
room there.
Okay. Andrew, do you have to go higher or lower? Dunks for Kevin Huerter.
It's tough just because I can't imagine him dunking. You know,
It is
I've
tough.
seen
your
it.
eyes
I've seen it. He's a transition guy.
Yeah, I will say more than he's had more than that many dunks.
Okay, the correct answer this season, Kevin Huerter has had 8 dunks, which means Andrew wins the week.
Wait, how does he get to say more than that? Why didn't he get to guess a number?
Because I get to choose.
Yeah, because he gets to choose. You set the line, and then Andrew goes higher or lower.
I usually like to guess the number, but there was a very strategic advantage there. Hey, go read Joel at The Athletic. He's writing about the Bulls. He's also writing about the Thunder as well. So if you want to hear about either one of those teams, Joel is your guy. Joel, thanks for coming on the show.
Great to have. Hey, by the way, next time, Michael Jordan questions, please.
I'll do all MJ questions.
MJ only next time.
I'll cook. Hey, I'll recite the Space Jam script.
Oh,
okay. If you'll do that, I'll gift you a week of Andrew versus the Beat. And you'll dominate him.
I hope so.
It'll be automatic points.
I hope you give me a share of the pod if I do that.
Maybe I'll only do questions about the Space Jam soundtrack.
Ooh,
could you do that?
I'm cooking in any of these.
Thanks, Joel.
All right, Andrew, that was Bulls Week, and that means it's once again time to spin the wheel of fandom to see what team we land on and become fans of for the next week. And that team is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers.
Okay.
You get to have Law on. It's always a treat.
That is a treat. To talk to La Murray in any setting is always a treat. So
Kawhi is back.
Yes.
That's nice.
They've turned their season around in a significant way.
Let's see who they're playing. They're 20-24 currently.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, they're playing the Nets. God, we get the Nets every week.
It's too much Nets.
We can't. They only play 2 games, and it's the Nets and the Jazz.
Boo. Man.
All right.
Coming off Rivals Week where they play the Lakers and embarrass the Lakers.
Man, the next week they play Denver, Phoenix, Philly, Cleveland.
Oh, wow. You get to learn a lot about the Clippers then. Maybe we should just do 2 weeks of Clippers.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't think we're going to learn a lot from the Utah game?
I think that we will learn that both Brooklyn and Utah would love to have good lottery picks. I think that's what we'll learn from those games. Something else you can learn is if you leave us a 5-star review, we'll read it on the podcast, just like this one. Ben G821, a Slam and Jam is always my favorite podcast of the week. Alex's Week in Review is the best bit on any pod and frequently has me laughing out loud in my car. Also, if avoiding the curse of the wheel is what got us a championship in OKC, then please remove the Thunder from the wheel entirely. Please and thank you. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for that review. And let's see. We already read our guy Milo's review, which was amazing. And then we have this one from Jackson24 Alexander. I love the show so much, and the amount of knowledge I have gained has helped me see the NBA in so many new ways. Wow, thank you. Love the content, and the trivia part is by far my favorite segment of the show. Also, love the faith that you guys have in the Cavs to finish 3rd in the East. So thanks for bringing me hope, LOL. Thank you so much for that review. Again, leave us a nice 5-star review. We'll read it on the podcast. I hope everybody has an awesome weekend. Enjoy the basketball, and we will talk to you guys again next week.